Hey, it's Brian from Mighty Startup, and today I want to answer a question around enforcement. In particular, who could actually go after you, right? Like, this is the big question a lot of clients ask me. And so there are several big buckets. There's one particular big bucket that is up and coming, and it's going after startup brands. Okay, I'm going to talk more about that later. But let's go through the other big buckets. So the first one is FDA and FDC, obviously, but there are other government agencies such as the CPSC and the CBP. So when I'm working with clients, I do ask you about your operation, your ingredients, your formula, because a lot of these variables could impact whether or not these other agencies, such as CPSC, should be involved in the equation, right? In the whole assessment of your product or your brand. A lot of contract manufacturers, when you look at their website, when you look at their contract, they're thinking, what, FDA? Like, that's the only one on their radar. But they're not talking about FTC. They're sure as heck aren't talking about CPSC or the CBP. So these are things that we want to factor in. And when I'm working with clients, we do factor that in so that you are more protected. Second big bucket are lawyers, right? They're going out into the market. They're looking for non-compliant labels. And then anything that's violative, right? That's not meeting the regulation or the laws, they're going to go after these brands, right? They're going to send them a violation notice, a demand letter. They might ask them to fix the label up, but then also pay them a fee for all the potential customers that have been harmed as a result of the mislabeling. And as a result, you're paying, 5 figures, 6 figures to keep them happy and keep them at bay. Now, are they doing a disservice by, going after you? Maybe, maybe not. I know a lot of these lawyers genuinely believe that they're helping enforcement. They're helping the customer or the consumer because they're ensuring that all these brands are following the rules. Others, however, believe that these lawyers are lining their pockets through this settlement, and they really don't care whether these products are compliant or not at the end of the day. I don't know which bucket you fall in. I'm just letting you know because it's always an interesting take when I'm meeting with these clients. All right. The other party that you should be thinking about are third-party consumer groups such as the Clean Label Project or Consumer Labs. Now, these are particular consumer groups that go out into the market, randomly grab product and test it in their labs. Okay. They're testing for potency. They're testing for contaminants, and they publish these results and throw it out into the media. They throw it out into the press. They do a press release. They throw it onto Newswire, and they see what catches, right? Some news feeds will pick it up. And now that brand with non-compliant product is out there in the media, and the brand really can't control that dialogue. Now, what's driving this? Well, I think part of it is obviously ensuring compliance, but also the Clean Label Project, Consumer Labs, they're making money through their certification program, getting people into their testing program, getting people into their portal or their subscription list, etc., and through their monthly newsletters. So there's also that aspect of it too. I'm not saying that that's wrong or that's bad. I'm just letting you see both sides of the picture. The next group that you should be really looking at and watching for, and this is a new one, and that is your competitors are going after small brands. In particular, one example, Now Foods. Now Foods is a very well-established supplement brand. They have a very robust testing program, so they say, I believe it. And what they're doing is they're going after all these brands, let's say on Amazon, and they're testing their product to prove that their product is non-compliant. Right. And I think part of it is, to propel the Now Foods brand, to show the quality that they've invested in, also trying to highlight how it's not fair for a brand like Now Foods, right? They're investing so much money into their compliance program, and then you got a small startup that isn't, but they pretend to be a high quality product. And obviously it's just not a fair playing field, and they really want to bring attention to this. And I think the bigger play for them is to show that all these brands are on a marketplace such as Amazon, and the lawyers and the FDA and FDC are going to go after the Amazon, and the Amazon has to enforce and implement new, more stringent compliance requirements, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all going to trickle down, but then all in the hopes of building up Now Foods as a brand. I suspect, at the end of the day, right? But I think the big thing is that it's interesting that you see now foods, which could be your competitor, going after the small startup brands and really highlighting the lack of compliance, the lack of testing, the lack of its ability to meet label claims. So what's the big takeaway here, right? And like, if you look at it, like, what's going on? What's happening is that a lot of these small startup brands, they probably don't even know that their product is non-compliant. Right? And what's happening is that they're relying on their manufacturer a lot, right? They're relying on the manufacturer's website and it talks about all the testing. Maybe they're talking to their account manager and the account manager is saying, oh, we test our ingredients for ID, we test it for potency and contaminants. And we make the assumption that our product, the startup brand's product, is going to fall under this protocol. Unfortunately, the reality is that this is just blanket marketing talk. And yeah, to a certain degree, there's truthfulness. But when you dive into the specifics, the big takeaway is that the particular testing that you need isn't being done for your specific product. It might be done for all the other clients that have asked for it, but not done for your particular product. This is where a lot of clients get caught. They're like, oh, well, we had no idea, right? We just assume that because the manufacturer said they test for ID, they test for potency, that our product would also be tested for that. No. Unfortunately not. They're just saying, here's what we do. And so as a blanket statement, we do this, we do this, we do this. And it could be for some clients or for just a small segment of the clients, but they don't specify. And the big thing is, it's not for you. And so, it's really important for us to qualify what exactly, how they're testing your product, how they're developing your product, and then how they're testing it. So, when I talk about product qualification, it's really important to suss all of this out. If you're going to be paying $5 a bottle from a manufacturer, what are you getting for that $5 is kind of the big question that we're trying to suss out. And then I go in typically and have my standard QA compliance questions so that we can mitigate all these other issues and ensure that you're protected from FDA, the lawyers, third-party consumer groups, and now foods, for example, right? I think a lot of us get caught up in manufacturer approval. The idea is like, if I just spend the time and find a good manufacturer, then all my other problems will be solved. Unfortunately, that's just not the case, right? From a manufacturer's side, unless you're asking them questions, they're not going to highlight these things. They're not going to tell you what's missing, right? They're going to rely on you. Unfortunately, the problem is that you're relying on their expertise. I think they know that. And as a result, you're easy for them to make product, right? If you're not going to ask them questions, you're not going to implement all these testing procedures, right? It's easy. I just pump them out, do some really basic testing, and it's released. And, I fulfilled my end of the bargain and I get my money, right? That's from the manufacturer side of things. They're banking on you not knowing these questions, not asking them on it, because now the profit's there for them. Whereas if you are going to go in and ask the questions and really suss them out and show that you've got the selection criteria, which is exactly what FDA wants you to do, which is what FTC wants you to do, and all these other government agencies, that's how you're supposed to do it. I just think a lot of people just don't know that. So anyway, the big takeaway here is, now that you know who's going after you, it's important to know what to do about it from a manufacturing qualification standpoint, a product qualification standpoint. Now, if you're new to finding a manufacturer, be sure to watch all my other videos on how to find a manufacturer. Now, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.